own future than any other nation on earth.
Booming energy production as the Saudis are shutting down domestic energy.
Yeah, he's talking about overseas.
Oh, the Chinese that are setting up solar farms on our...
Will we accept an economy where only a few of us do spectacularly well? Or will we commit ourselves to an economy that generates rising incomes and chances for everyone who makes the effort?
Notice how he posed that. Will we do A or B? Probably A.
Will we approach the world fearful and reactive, dragged into costly conflicts that strain our military and set back our standing?
We got dragged
that
into
he keeps pushing them into.
Using all elements of our power to defeat new threats and protect our planet. Will we allow ourselves to be sorted into factions and turned against one another? Or will we recapture the sense of common purpose that has always propelled America forward?
If you don't, he'll veto.
In 2 weeks, I will send this Congress a budget filled with ideas that are practical, not partisan.
Here we go.
And in the months ahead, I'll crisscross the country making a case for those ideas.
Really?
So tonight, I want to focus less on a checklist of proposals and focus more on the values at stake in the choices before us. It begins with our economy.
So he's got a pen, a phone, and a car.
7 years ago,
Air Force One.
Rebecca and Ben Erler of Minneapolis were newlyweds.
Here we go.
Multimedia.
She waited tables. He worked construction. Their first child, Jack, was on the way. They were young and in love in America. And it doesn't get much better than that. If only we had known, Rebecca wrote to me last spring, what was about to happen to the housing and construction market. As the crisis worsened, Ben's business dried up. So he took what jobs he could find, even if they kept him on the road for long stretches of time. Rebecca took out student loans and enrolled in community college and retrained for a new career. They sacrificed for each other. And slowly it paid off. They bought their first home. They had a second son, Henry. Rebecca got a better job and then a raise. Ben's back in construction and home for dinner every night. It is amazing, Rebecca wrote, what you can bounce back from when you have to. We are a strong, tight-knit family who has made it through some very, very hard times. We are a strong, tight-knit family who has made it through some very, very hard times. America, Rebecca and Ben's story is our story. They represent the millions who've worked hard and scrimped and sacrificed and retooled.
And survived in spite of what the government and banks have done to them.
Yeah.
You are the people I was thinking of 6 years ago today, in the darkest months of the crisis, when I stood on the steps of this Capitol and promised we would rebuild our economy on a new foundation. And it has been your resilience, your effort, that has made it possible for our country to emerge stronger.
Well, we didn't build that.
Yeah.
We believed we could reverse the tide of outsourcing.
And the American auto industry was on the brink of collapse until we sold it to Italy.
Yeah.
For pennies on the dollar.
Created more than 11 million new jobs.
Like I said before, a lot of these are government jobs.
Yes. And the way they define unemployment, they exclude people who have been unemployed for a period of time.
Stop looking.
And protect our planet. And today, America is number one in oil and gas.
No thanks to you.
America is number one in wind power. Every 3 weeks,
and you're sitting there celebrating this as the Saudis have just collapsed any domestic production. You're going to see that. You're going to see that graph go exactly the opposite direction.
A typical family this year should save about $750 at the pump.
Don't worry, they're going to add that back in taxes, and you'll hardly even notice it.
I believe that.
Probably taxes
and also,
at
we
the
talked
pump.
about these solar farms. I think solar is a great technology, but you know, you have the environmentalists are saying it's so great, but then birds fly over and they get burned up.
Right.
All those streamers, I believe.
Our high school graduation rate has hit an all-time high.
But not our literacy rate. So you can cherry pick what you want for stats.
Yeah, we'll get them through, but we don't prepare them for what's up ahead.
Right.
We believe that sensible regulations could prevent another crisis, shield families from ruin, and encourage fair competition. Today, we have new tools to stop taxpayer-funded bailouts.
But
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You just put the taxpayer on the hook for all the derivatives of the banks. You just gutted this. You just gutted the oil industry that was domestic. And I mean, this is just amazing.
Like 1.3 trillion we're on the hook
This
for.
lackluster Affordable Care Act, where you go to the kiosk or you go to the VA Watson thing that Biggs just did that report about, and then they pretty much give you some silly diagnosis.
At every step.
We just had an article today on INFOWARS.com. H&R Block said, we don't understand Obamacare. It's hopelessly complex from a tax standpoint. People don't realize they're going to be paying 1% of their income if they didn't sign up for the inflated insurance that they mandated.
Yeah, it's not $95 unless you make less than $9 grand.
So you can always pick it. You can say, well, relative to this, the deficit is down, ignoring the fact that it has skyrocketed in absolute terms and that they waited until the very last day of the fiscal year to show how much it had skyrocketed. Hey, he's blank.
So the verdict is clear. Middle-class economics works. Expanding opportunity works.
I had not.
That's why we don't do it.
As long as politics don't get in the way.
Oh, they say this every
We
year.
can't slow down businesses or put our economy at risk with government shutdowns or fiscal showdowns. We can't put the security of families at risk by taking away their health insurance.
I like
or
when he's talking about
unraveling
these
the new
government
rules on Wall Street.
shutdowns and these sequesters and all that stuff. But I remember he was threatening not to pay the military. Was it last year, the year before, and then he didn't want to have the White House tours. They didn't have money for that. But of course, they had money to go on vacation.
There's this article we had
To house
earlier
all
today.
those illegal.
No one can understand the new Obamacare tax code.
Yeah.
H&R Block, CEO.
Didn't have money for schools, but yeah, we had thousands of dollars to pay for all of the flood of illegal immigrants that came to the country.
Today, thanks to a
Miraculously.
growing economy, the recovery is touching more and more lives.
Yes, it is.
Is he going
Wages
to
are
talk about
finally
Ebola?
starting to
Is he going
rise.
to talk about the flood of illegal
More small
immigrants?
business owners plan to raise their employees' pay than at any time since 2007.
Probably not.
So you're not going to get a
Here's the
wage
thing.
increase if the employer has to pay
Those of us here
extra
tonight,
health insurance
we need to
costs,
set our
extra
sights higher than
retirement.
just making sure
plan
government doesn't
costs.
screw things up. The government
Or
doesn't
you're gonna have
halt
fewer
the
people
progress
working.
We're making.
You know about the government. You are the
Do
government.
more than just do
Right.
no harm. Tonight, together, let's do more to restore the link between hard work and growing opportunity for every American.
If you look at the details of the tax plan, he's doing exactly the opposite. What he's going to do is going to drastically affect small businesses, farmers. It's going to be a big boon to large corporations. And of course, one of the things he's pushing, and will probably get through with the Republicans, is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They both want that desperately.
Yeah, he's been.
And we're going to
really
talk about
pushing
that
for
after the speech. Yeah.
And to give him
Save
the
for retirement.
fast track authority.
Friday night pizza, that's a big splurge. Basic child care for Jack and Henry costs more than their mortgage and almost as much as a year at the University of Minnesota.
And nearly as much as their health care,
Like millions of hardworking Americans.
health insurance.
Rebecca isn't asking for a handout, but she is asking that we look for more ways to help families get ahead. And in fact, at every moment of economic change throughout our history, this country has taken bold action to adapt to new circumstances and to make sure everyone gets a fair shot. We set up worker protections, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, to protect ourselves from the harshest adversity.
And we make it available to anyone on the planet who wants to come here.
Schools and colleges,
Right.
infrastructure, and the internet. Tools they
He wants
needed
to regulate.
go as far as their efforts and their dreams will take them. That's what middle-class economics is. The idea that this country does best when everyone gets their fair shot. Everyone does their fair share. Everyone plays by the same set of rules.
Except his banker buddies.
Yeah, except his millionaire politician buddies.
What rules does he play by? He doesn't follow the Constitution. He doesn't follow the written laws. What does he play by? What rules?
We want everyone to contribute to our success.
That's true. He wants all of us to contribute to their success.
So what does middle-class economics require in our time? First, middle-class economics means helping working families feel more secure in a world of constant change. It means helping folks afford childcare, college,
Give your
healthcare,
kids to us.
a home,
We'll take care of them.
retirement.
Why don't you lower our taxes?
My budget will address each of these issues.
He says
lowering
he's going to
the
do that.
taxes of working families and putting
There you go.
thousands of dollars back into their pockets each year.
Except he's going to tax the education IRAs that people have been planning for their children's education for a long time. That's a betrayal, and they're going to come after your pension plans as well as Social Security.
Right. And he doesn't point out how they've got tax loopholes that are giving all of these credits to illegal immigrants that aren't even here paying taxes and
Yes.
Universal child care.
billions of dollars.
In today's economy, when having both parents in the workforce is an economic necessity for many families,
Why is that?
we need
Yeah, it didn't
affordable
always
have to be
quality
that way.
child care more than ever.
The reality is,
They need state care more than ever.
in the 1950s, a median family of four paid 1% to 2% in federal income taxes. Now they're paying about 25% to 30%, which is what the second wage earner, typically the mom, if she's working, makes. So they put the mother to work to pay the increased taxes. And then he says, don't worry, if you do everything we tell you, we'll give you some child care credits.
Yeah, it's like that movie review you did, David, of It's a Wonderful Life. And I believe the guy got offered $30,000, and his boss like, you're going to be one of the richest guys in town.
That's right.
It's not like that anymore.
That's right. And that's where, Jakari, that's where he's going to get everybody on these increased estate taxes, because he's going to tax people on quote-unquote capital gains, which is really the devaluation of the dollar. You bought a house 40 years ago for $20,000. Now it's worth $250,000. It's still a 40-year-old house.
Right.
But they're going to pretend that that devaluation of the currency is actually an appreciated asset. And that goes especially true for farms and for small businesses.
Here's another example. Today, we are the only advanced country on earth that doesn't guarantee paid sick leave or paid maternity leave to our workers. 43 million workers have no paid
Every one
sick
of those
43
countries he
million.
had up there has a gross domestic product smaller than his tax
That
increase.
forces too many parents to make the gut-wrenching choice between a paycheck and a sick kid at home. So I'll be taking new action to help states adopt paid leave laws of their own. And since paid sick leave won where it was on the ballot last November, let's put it to a vote right here in Washington. Send me a bill that gives every worker in America the opportunity to earn 7 days of paid sick leave. It's the right thing to do. The right thing to do. Of course,
Sick because they know they're going to be sick, so they're going to be forced to take the flu shots. No wonder he's going to give them the time off. Come on now.
Good point there, Diggs.
make sure a woman
Take
is
the flu
paid
shot,
the
get
same
7 days off paid.
Yeah.
as the same work.
True.
The earnings gap.
And I pointed out in a report I did earlier last year how
It's
the
2015.
White House is really guilty of this, and especially a lot of Democrats
We
paying
still
their
need to make
female
sure
workers
employees get
less.
the overtime they've earned.
Very hypocritical.
And everyone in this Congress who still refuses to raise the minimum wage, I say this. If you truly believe you could work full-time and support a family on less than $15,000 a year, try it. If not, vote to give millions of the hardest working people in America a raise.
Didn't we have that article yesterday, the inflation, and says you don't have to worry about inflation unless you buy a house or you just generally live life.
McDonald's is meant to be a a starter point,
a stepping
to get
stone.
a stepping stone to get your foot in the door, not a long-term career. Come on, people.
Yeah, my first job, I made less than $6 an hour.